Last week, we dropped a video about why we think some Funko retailers were going out of business. And with all the comments, and there was so much we didn't dive into, we thought we'd do a part 2. Why does Funko hate Canada?
Let's get into it.
Thank you guys so much, because that video blew up, and a shout out to Dr. Applesauce, who as well shared it.
Yep.
But it was the feedback was insane. Like there were so many comments. There were so many questions. People that wanted us to dive a little deeper into that whole thing. Basically, if you hadn't seen the first video, we're going to link it here and in the description. Pop in a box. Stop carrying Funko. Big Apple Collectibles going out of business. Not refunding people, just crazy stuff as far as the landscape for Funko retail.
Right.
And we have an interesting perspective being retailers, but we're also based in Canada, and that too drives even more hardships.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd come back with a part 2 here and tell you why we think Funko hates Canada, answer some of your questions from that first video, and just dive a little deeper. And I can't believe some of the comments of people that are absolutely getting hosed on not getting their money back on these pre-orders with Big Apple Collectible.
Right.
Like with us, when we had pre-orders,
Yeah.
which is something we didn't really dive deeper into, which I answered a lot of the comments that we actually had to stop taking pre-orders a year ago. But the reason is because of so many delays.
Right.
Production delays. So when those delays happen and customers are like, where's my pop?
Yeah.
And we're like, we have no answer. And it's no fault to the Canadian distributor because they're not getting the stock from Funko USA.
Yeah.
So we ended up having to refund everyone who was like, I'm tired of waiting.
Right.
We didn't want to piss off customers anymore. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to us.
Right.
So last year, we actually eliminated pre-orders altogether, something that Big Apple Collectibles probably should have done.
Completely. Absolutely. Because pre-orders are a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Right. Like it is and again, going back to the distributor and our distributor, they're at the mercy of Funko.
There's nothing they can do.
There's no, you can't crap on them for it because it's not their fault. They're not producing it. There's been multiple times where, our distributor was nice enough to let us cut back some of it.
Yeah.
Because we did complain. And we were like, listen, guys, this stuff's, we can't take all this because it's too old. Like, it's not fair to us. But when it comes to pre-orders, it's so hard from the retail point of view and the distributor point of view because pre-orders, if we pre-order it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% we're on the hook for that pre-order. We did it, right? The supplier brought it in based on our numbers. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. You can't argue that shouldn't be held to those pre-orders. The problem is when that pre-order is 6 months late.
Yeah.
And
longer.
And all the big box retailers have it already. And then by the time you actually get it, as crazy as it sounds, the pop's dead. It's dead.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's useless.
The heat is
it's gone.
Worn off.
Doesn't make any sense. So if I pre-order something and you say it's coming out in 6 weeks and I get it in 6 weeks, for sure. Of course. I made that pre-order.
Yeah.
It's when it's super long, and our distributor did help us out with it many times because it was frustrating, but it wasn't their fault, and we understood it wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had heated discussions about it multiple times, and then, you feel bad for it, but at the same time, you're like, well, you got to help me out here a little bit because we're just independent guys,
So one other thing that, we should mention on that same line was that often they will put up the pre-orders for a retailer with no descriptions, no images, no glams, nothing's been official. So it basically says the title of the show or movie and pop 1, pop 2.
Right.
Like we have no idea what they are. So then you're pre-ordering blind.
Right.
Then they're delayed.
Right.
Then the glams officially come out and you're like, these aren't that great.
Yeah.
But we've already pre-ordered them.
Right.
And we're... It's kind of crazy. It's a bit of madness, and it's not fair to anybody.
The other thing that we didn't talk about was we ran into, especially when we had the pre-orders and we would be selling sets.
Yeah.
So the entire line of whatever was coming out, whether it's Friends, and you've got the 6 pops.
I actually remember the original one where we ran into that problem big time was the first release of The Office.
Okay.
Everyone was losing their minds. They wanted those. We're offering pre-orders. And all of them came but Jim.
Right.
All of them. They all arrived and we did not get Jim.
Right.
So how do you sell a set, or people are pre-ordering and you're going to have to hold off shipping them their pre-orders until Jim arrives, and Jim was like months later.
Right. Yeah.
So they were made at different. The answer we got was they were made at different factories.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
Why would you do that? If you're going to make all the Office Pops, don't leave Jim being made at a different facility.
Yeah.
So that we can get everything released at the same time.
But for us, you've got 7 of the 8 pops. Everybody wants them.
Yeah.
From an independent retailer also. We can't just ship those 7 and then wait for the other one to come in and then ship that one, because we're going to go shipping poor.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's because shipping costs have gone,
Yeah, fuel surcharges.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. So that was another thing that was a problem, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how Big Apple was handling that. But, you know,
So-
again, they probably had the same issues we had, you know? And that they're probably in too deep, and they didn't know that just...
But the end of the day, not refunding your customers and all the comments that we saw on that video last week, that is horrifying that you all had to deal with that.
That's ridiculous.
And they should be on the hook and refunding every single person that pre-ordered. Refunding them $1 or not refunding them at all is absolutely atrocious.
Right.
And we don't commend this at all. Like, it was from a retailer's standpoint, that is not fair. And back in our day when we were offering pre-orders, if somebody was sick of waiting, and it was a big problem in Canada because of different distribution times, what people don't understand is, as an independent retailer in Canada, we are at the mercy of Funko distributing that stuff to the Canadian distributor. Whereas other big box retailers in Canada get their stuff from their parent company in the US. So customers would be like, hey, I just saw this at EB Games in Canada, which is now just GameStop Canada. But they're getting their stock from GameStop USA.
Yeah.
They're not getting it from the Canadian distributor. So we're like, we have to explain that to everybody. It's not our fault, but we don't have your pre-order yet because the Canadian distributor, it's not their fault either, hasn't received it from Funko. So if Funko is releasing that stuff, just release it to everybody.
Yeah. And I completely understand it from the customer point of view, because I don't blame them.
See it on the shelf.
You see it on the shelf. You're standing there, you're looking at it, and you're like, I pre-ordered this with K-Dog&Fish, and I don't got it. And then it's always like, what are those guys doing? It's like, we're not doing anything. And it was a lot of man hours every day answering emails about pre-orders. You did. I didn't answer them.
Yeah.
But that's not here. But like, just trying to explain it to people, and it's hard to understand.
Yeah.
But the Canadian distributor is at the mercy of Funko.
Yeah.
That really, it all circles back to distribution of Funko. You can't blame the distributor. You can't blame this. You can't blame that.
It's Funko headquarters.
It's Funko. And they helped us out a ton of times, and we appreciate it. And it was just frustrating conversations that we had. But again, it's hard for them to have an answer, because what are you going to say, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's literally like there's
not, their hands are tied.
There's no rhyme or reason to what's going to ship and when it's going to ship and how we're going to get it, and you got to suck it up, I guess.
So part of this conversation, again, why does Funko hate Canada? That's a big part of it. Why are some things so late as being shared when they're already in big box USA retailers? We're then sharing them with their retail stores in Canada.
Right.
Why is it not all being released at the same time? Now, some other questions that were brought up in the comments on that first video was more information about our WonderCon story. When we were the exclusive shared retailer for a WonderCon exclusive back in 2020.
That was fun.
What happened after that, because we were so frustrated, we wanted to call Funko USA. We were not allowed to talk to the brand manager for Funko in Canada.
Right.
So we were like, well, we'll go to headquarters, right? So we would call.
Yeah.
We left some voicemails. We sent some emails, and there was crickets.
Oh, yeah. Every day.
So after about 2 weeks, we're like, we gave it some time because they're busy. It's a big corporation.
Yeah.
So then we started calling every day.
Yeah.
Every day, and a different department. Now, you could call Funko HQ and to get the directory.
Right.
Mariota wasn't on the director.
That's shocking. Yeah.
However, there was the head of international sales for Funko, which they previewed this person in a YouTube video.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, that's the dude's name.
Yeah.
I'll get him.
Yeah.
Because the general voicemail and the sales department general voicemail, nobody was returning our calls or emails.
Yeah.
So I went to that guy directly.
Yeah.
Left him a voicemail.
Yeah.
Nothing. So
do you think in his office he has a picture, a big, like we're talking a 30 by 40 massive globe picture of the map of the planet?
Yeah.
You know? And then just Canada's is just blacked out.
Yeah.
Like
just markers, Sharpie.
Doesn't exist. Yeah. Maybe he painted it like blue, like it's the ocean, you know, and just like, you know,
so
not there. Yeah.
We pulled a Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Where, I don't know if you remember the plot,
yeah.
but Andy Dufresne wrote a letter every day for 2 years to get funding for the library.
Yeah.
So I called and left a voicemail every day for 2 months.
Right.
Straight.
Yeah.
Right? Just following up. Very nice.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't say that. Very polite, very nice. Please, we just would love to talk to somebody about our frustrations.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, at that time, we were the only in Canada retailer doing fully 100% Funko.
Just Funko.
Promoting and selling your brand only. And we had a massive account with the Canadian distributor, and I can't get Funko HQ to return one voicemail or email.
Yeah.
That it was disheartening and goes back to the whole theme of this second part, to this spilling the tea here, peeling back the curtain.
Right.
Why does Funko hate Canada? I don't have an answer to why they never returned a voicemail or email when somebody's trying to contact you for every day for 2 months straight.
Right. And the funny thing is, when you and I got into this, right, we were like, Funko there's a massive Canadian market and Funko isn't doing for it. They don't want, and we're just like, this doesn't make any sense. We're looking at it going, maybe if we invest in it and we're willing to take it on, maybe we could be like the pop culture of Canada.
Yeah, so they're the Australian, they get everything. They're
all
Funko
the
Shop exclusives. They're basically Funko Shop for Australia.
Yeah, because it's a Funko Shop Europe. There's obviously the regular Funko Shop. Yeah. But Canada, we can't order off Funko Shop. Yeah. We can't do anything. It's like Canada doesn't exist. So in our minds, we're like, we got a warehouse, we got this, we got distribution, we've got the funding, we can back it if you guys will back us. And we thought we were going to do it. We're like naive, right?
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, for sure they don't want to do that.
This is going back, we should say, to like 2017, 2018.
Yeah, we were so naive. We were like, we're going to make this huge. And then it's just like, literally just punch in the face, punch in the face, punch in the face. Like, nope, Canada.
Funko hates Canada.
Funko hates Canada. They don't give a shit. That's all there is to it.
Before we even keep going with that, fast forward to now with all the Canadians who had trouble with the brand new Funko app update.
Right.
They're not trying to order online from the States. They just want to look at their collection.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they couldn't do the update because you needed a USA phone number.
Right.
To do a 2-step verification.
Yeah.
That's horrifying. You have collectors that love you that have just want to look at what they have in their collection.
Yeah.
And the app update wouldn't allow them to.
Right. Yeah.
People are still all Canadians are having so much trouble with the Funko app.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to keep a track of their collection.
Right.
That was a horrible thing about Funko to hating Canada.
Well, how about the phone call that we dealt with 18 months ago when we found out that soda cans were being completely distributed only to Toys R Us in Canada. I still remember that conversation with our sales rep, and I couldn't believe it. And he was like, he was so apologetic. He was like, I don't even know how to say this to you, because that's when sodas were just starting to take off, and we were deep into soda.
We were early.
We were early to sodas.
Early on sodas. We're probably one of the only Funko retailers in Canada. Even big box retailers in Canada weren't carrying soda.
Yeah, we were big into soda.
We loved it. Yeah.
So I'm talking, they're all these new sodas are coming, all these glams, and we're not getting pre-orders for any of it. So I'm like, gotta talk to our distributor, our sales rep, and he's like, I don't know, I'll look into it. And then he finally gets back to me, and he just did not want to tell me, and I couldn't believe it. I was
we should tell people.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is that there was a behind the scenes deal agreement between Funko and Toys R Us.
Yeah.
That they had the only rights to carry common Funko soda.
Yeah.
And that it was not being offered to any other retailer in Canada, especially independent retailers. Now, a lot has changed because then the Canadian distributor actually was getting leftovers from Funko Europe to get the international shared cans.
We were able to get international cans, not domestic cans.
But it took about almost a year of having no soda, Funko soda, because of this deal with Toys R Us monopolizing the market on Funko soda. And if you saw any of our other videos at that time, everyone was going into Toys R Us and opening the cans.
All the cans were open.
So you have, and this is happening in the States right now at Walmart, and some other great YouTubers have done videos about it, Dr. Applesauce included, that you can't do that because these big box retailers don't care. And there's nobody watching it. So assholes are going into these stores, and this was happening in Toys R Us in Canada
all the time,
to the point where they started keeping them back desk at customer service. Because I think even Top Pops did a video about it, exposing the fact that every soda in Toys R Us, Funko soda, was opened. And then they were shrink wrapping them. And like crazy shit.
Yeah, it was insane.
So that was another part of the problems of Funko retail in Canada. Was that whole Funko soda deal. Now it's laxed a little bit, and we're definitely now seeing international shares for Canadian independent retailers. But back then, you couldn't get a can unless you're bringing it in from the States because Toys R Us had the monopoly on Funko soda in Canada. It was very frustrating.
That was one thing that I still don't understand it. And I guess, honestly, the only way I can say it without trying to be, like, we're trying to stay positive. I don't want to be a about it. But I think Funko is just lazy. And they just said, you know what? Let's just give it all to Toys R Us.
One
it's just
company.
Absolutely lazy, less headaches. They don't even care, how Toys R Us is running the website or in the stores or anything, because they give them all the exclusives too. Every single time we get a con, Toys R Us gets all the exclusives. But they never hit shelves.
And Funko Shop exclusives.
Funko Shop exclusives. But they're never hitting the shelves. And we hear it from our customers left and right. We're like, we can't get our hands on this. Even when Toys R Us is supposedly going to get it, it's never on the shelves. But they just give everything to Toys R Us because it's just easier. And then all the independents are just sitting there going, well, it'd be great if we could have some of that. Like that would be nice. But no, let's just give it all to Toys R Us, So the Toys R Us Canadian distribution with Funko deals or whatever the hell's going on there.
They basically see Toys R Us as being the only place that they care about getting Funko into Canada. So they just give everything to them and screw the independent retailers in Canada.
But I was in Toys R Us 2 weeks ago. And every pop was on clearance.
Okay.
So I don't know we'll see what happens. But literally, and there was a big section. It was a big Funko section. And every pop was on clearance.
All right. So let's see how that goes.
What is that saying when they're, and then we're talking, it's like $11 and they're blowing all the exclusives too. They're blowing them out for $11. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Toys R Us aren't too happy with the sell-through rate. But again, from a big box retailer, it's tough too because your sell-through rate's going to be pretty low because there's so many friggin' SKUs.
Again, if there's a huge delay and there'd be weeks and weeks without a delivery. And then all of a sudden they got shipping containers. And you're sitting on like going, how much stuff are you dropping on us at one time? And it's like tens of thousands of dollars and stuff that should have been sporadically distributed. But then Funko just waited to like vomit shipping containers full onto the Canadian distributor at one time. And then like weeks and weeks of nothing.
That's actually a really good point.
That's a good point.
That's a really good point of if you really want to know another one of probably the hardest things we had to deal with over the last 18 months was the vast amount of times with no shipments at all, like 6-7 weeks with no shipments because Funko wasn't shipping to Canada. And then we would get dumped on 36, 38 master cases of product. Like so much product.
Of stuff.
Whereas back before, we would have scheduled deliveries every week. And you could manage it. You could manage it. So from a small independent company like us, when you have nothing for 7 weeks, what are you promoting? You're just basically trying to sell commons. You're just trying to sell whatever you have. And then all of a sudden you get this massive dump on and they're like, oh, by the way, there's your $15,000 bill, You're like, I need time to sell this stuff, like, you know, and you can't promote it all at once. You got to sort of spread it out. So, and again, that's not the distributor's fault.
That's only been more recently that's been happening.
Yeah,
but it's frustrating as a retailer
because again, like people are like, "What's going on? Anything new?" And we're like, "No, like there's nothing coming in." Right.
The worst part is that we can never fully have an answer because Funko won't talk to Canadians. That's the hard part.
I don't understand it.
We love Funko. I don't know if you guys got that across from the first video, but we wanted to make it evidently clear here. Like when we first started, we were the only retailer in Canada doing 100% Funko. And you obviously, we were like, this is something that we love. We love to collect. We want to do this. And we want to give that customer service too, where like we live an hour from the closest place that would retail Funko. So when we were trying to call ahead to be like, hey, we're driving an hour, do you have this? And a place like Hot Topic, their company policy is they do not discuss Funko. And I'm like, I'm not asking for a favor. I don't want you to hold anything for me. Just tell me if you see it on the shelf. And they wouldn't do it. So we wanted to be that place in Canada. We're like, you want it? I'll hold it. I got it. I'll tell you. I'll ship it. What do you want to do?
You want us to find it? We'll find it for you.
Yeah. So it is very frustrating on both ends for being a Canadian retailer and a Canadian collector. We wanted to do this follow-up for you guys, shed some more light on the situation. Thank you to everyone in all the comments. We wanted to answer all those comments from the first video, or try to, and shed a little bit more light behind the scenes on Funko and why do they hate Canada. If there's any frustrations you wanted to air about being a Canadian collector, put it in the comments on this video.
What did Canada ever do to you?
What did we do to you?
What did we do to you?
Come on, Funko.
We're people too, man.
We love Funko. We're still going to continue to do what we do. We are definitely pivoting the business as far as the so many SKUs and bringing more things in from the US in a more timely fashion. We completely cut out pre-orders altogether. That's immensely helped. So we definitely are going to try and bring in more older vaulted stuff, have a good time, and bring more content and put the fun in Funko. So we really appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Fish.
K-Dog.
We'll see you again soon.
Peace.